You thinking about making a move to the Chicago suburbs? Well, today I'm going over the 6 critical mistakes that I see most homeowners make when they're making that move. And trust me, I have seen them all. So if you want to know the biggest mistakes that I see, well, stick around and you're going to want to watch number 4 because 1, no realtor is going to be honest with you about it. You probably don't even know it exists and it's a killer for your home. So stick around. All right, so the biggest mistake that I see people make is misjudging the real commute time. I'm telling you, commuting can crush your soul, okay? And finding that sweet spot is really important. And I'm gonna show you why I'm standing here specifically in a minute, as I'm right next to 290, one of the arteries to get downtown. But the thing is, you really need to pay attention. Chicago has some of the worst traffic in the entire country and the world. We have 5 of the most congested expressways in the entire United States. And I'm here one of them, I-290, which gets you right into town. But it can be a killer, and traffic around here can be a killer. So what I'm gonna recommend for you to do, and what I think so many people don't do, whether you're moving from out of state or you're moving from to Chicago and you're thinking about moving to LaGrange, Oak Park, Evanston, Naperville, whatever, you wanna actually do your commute, okay? You wanna do it. I'm here right now, you see this intersection? If you live in this southeast corner of Oak Park, it's like, great, I'm right by downtown, easy access to the expressway. You gotta take a left to get on here. It's all lefts to get onto the expressway here. You could be waiting here 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. It's crushing sometimes. So my advice to you, to everybody, and I can't stress this enough, is you need to do your commute. Physically do it. You can start with Google Maps, and people are gonna say, oh, Google Map it, and that's great. But here's the deal, I'm gonna tell you to do 2 things. You need to do the commute, okay? If you're gonna take the train, you need to take the train, because it's not just about the time, it's also about the feel of that, right? It's about little intersections like this that are gonna maybe add 10 minutes and just be annoying as hell and are dangerous. Quite frankly dangerous, right? And so you want turning a left out here, so you wanna do the commute and see if it's comfortable for you. Don't rely on Google Maps. You want to do it in the morning and do it at home, do it on the way back. And don't forget, if you can, do it when it's raining or it's snowing, because that 45-minute commute could easily be an hour and a half in the winter normally. So one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is just Google mapping and not really getting a feel for the reality of the commute, because commute can crush your soul on a day-to-day basis. So that's my recommendation. Whether you're in Chicago, you're moving from out of town, if you can, build in the opportunity to actually go and do the commute and make sure you're comfortable with it. All right, and so the second thing I'm gonna move on to that most people don't take into account properly is that potential crushing tax bill. All right, so the second biggest mistake that I see people make who are moving here, whether it's from out of the area or even around here, is they don't properly account for the potential tax burden that you are gonna have. Now, this part of the video is not just, oh, taxes are high in Illinois. They are. Property taxes are the highest in the country, like 1.8% of the value of your home generally. That is massive compared to a lot of places in the country. You're gonna have a lot of sticker shock when you look at the taxes here, but that's not just what I'm talking about. We have very confusing taxes, especially in Cook County, and what I want you to know in this video is that you can potentially have situations where you have a 30, 40, 50% increase in your tax bill one year to the next. That's right. Do you hear me? 30, 40% right around the corner. I sold a house, taxes went up 40% in 1 year. And so what I want to talk to you about, and I want to use this house behind me as an example because it's on the market, is what you need to really pay attention to as you're looking at homes, all right? This house behind me, all right? So that's what I'm talking about in this video, is the Cook County specifically, how the taxes work, the things that you need to be prepared for, and what you should do, and why you might want to reach out to me, all right? Because if you were buying this house, I got some tips of what I would recommend if you were the buyer. So here's the deal behind me. I'm gonna use this house as an example. This house is on the market for almost $1 million, okay? The taxes, and it sold. It got an offer in like 2 or 3 days, all right? Another thing, if you're coming into town, you would have missed this house if you were trying to do it online. But, so the taxes are $16,000. That's based on a value of $560,000. So the current person buying this house is paying almost double for what the assessed value is. So that means you potentially have an increase in your taxes up to maybe $32,000. Now the thing is, you need to prepare for that. The chances are it's probably not gonna happen. It gets very confusing. You can reach out, I'll give it like a little more detail. Obviously, if we work together, we go into a little bit more detail, but you need to understand that when you look at a house, that the taxes are based on the assessed value, and a lot of times they're way under assessed, okay? That's number one. There's also exemptions, which I'll talk about a little bit at the end. But then secondly, and even worse, is that we go through a reassessment every 3 years. So you know what that means? That's when you get dinged, where your assessed value could go up like 30 or 40%. And so, knowing all of this, knowing when the cycles are, knowing how the system works, if you were looking to buy this house and you were my client, if we could wait until the January 1st, 2026, that's what I would recommend. You wanna know why? And this is why if you wanna work with an agent who pays attention to these little nuances and these details that can save you thousands of dollars over the course of the ownership, then reach out, give me a call, shoot me a text. And the reason why is that when they reassess the values, they do it based off of the 2025 sales. So if you don't buy this in 2025, it's not a sale that they will know of, potentially saving you tens of thousands of dollars over the next few years. So anyway, so every 3 years they reassess, every 3 years they reassess your value, and that's when you can jump up and have a crazy increase. And so you need to be prepared for that. And you need to at least know about that. And so if you're looking to buy in the spring of 2026, you're gonna be looking at homes where you have no idea. You're gonna see, maybe it got raised 30, 40% assessed value. That doesn't mean the taxes are gonna go up that much, but you're gonna be in a very awkward position. So here's the deal. The biggest mistake is just not understanding and not budgeting for a potential reassessment that could really increase your taxes, already crazy higher than they already are. So that's something that you really need to pay attention to. You can give me a call, reach out. I've saved my clients tens of thousands of dollars helping them appeal every 3 years and getting the right exemptions. I mentioned exemptions. When you're looking at a house, I'm gonna look up to see what exemptions they have. If they have certain types of seniors exemptions, the taxes could increase crazy the next year, actually. So those are little things that you have to pay attention to. And next, what I'm gonna talk about is a big mistake that I see people make, and that's falling in love when they shouldn't. So the third biggest mistake that I see a lot of people make is falling in love with listings before the lifestyle that place is gonna give you, that house is gonna give you. Lifestyle and community, I'm gonna give you some tips on how to figure out whether or not a community might meet your lifestyle and might be the type of community you wanna live in. But here's the deal, most people, you're gonna be 5 years from now. My job is to make sure that you are happy, super happy where you are, and part of that is gonna be your lifestyle. If you have a beautiful house, but your day-to-day is not, if you're not happy on your day-to-day, you're just not gonna be happy with your decision. So we wanna make sure that that doesn't happen. And so here's the deal, a lot of people will sacrifice a home and what they want in a home for the lifestyle they want. So here's a tip on how you could figure out when you're from afar, or even if you're in Chicago. I sell to a lot of people who are living in the city and making this move, but you still wanna do this, even if you grew up in these areas, even if you grew up in this community if the community you grew up in, because it's not the same as when you grew up, and you didn't own a house and have those responsibilities, right? So here, take the 10 activities that you like to do. Are you a yoga person? Tennis, swimming, whatever it is. Do you like to go to the park, the woods? Take the 10 things that you really like to do and then start mapping, when you start looking at listings and houses, how you would do that in that community. Does it mean that you're gonna need to walk everywhere, or you can walk? Maybe you don't wanna walk everywhere. A lot of people, everyone wants to walk everywhere, but some people don't. So that's the lifestyle that's important for you, okay? That's what you need to do. So that's one way. And you wanna make sure that you are comfortable with that lifestyle. Because some people, and once again, it's a mix of house and lifestyle, but that's a tip for you to do. So that's one thing you can do to start familiarizing yourself with the lifestyle. And then there's the community, okay? Because you want to have a great day-to-day, and then you also want to have a community that you feel good in, you feel welcome in. And so how do you do that? I'm here at a great example. We have such diverse communities in this area, in the Chicago suburbs. That's why it's great, but it's also can be crazy. So if you're that person who wants a lot of restaurants, you want to walk everywhere, you want that urban energy, I'll say like places like Oak Park or Evanston. Well, that's not right here right now, right? Like this. I'm in the first suburb west of Oak Park. It shares a high school, River Forest. Much more peaceful. Huge houses, there's a price point for that, but huge houses, bigger lots. You share a lot of the same things. You share the high school. You can still be downtown. A lot of the stuff that some people like, but here's the deal. You might want that really close houses. You might want that energy, all the restaurants. You're not gonna get it here, but you got it really close. So you wanna feel like and here's the thing with community. Do you want a diverse community? What kind of community do you want? And that's each person has their own, what they want out of that. So here's the deal, what I recommend, not only for the community, but each specific house, here's a tip. You walk around that community, go out on a Saturday, take part in what those people do, see the type of people that are there, what you can expect, you know, and for each house, if you can, I highly recommend that you go and sit outside that house at night, turn off your car, walk around the neighborhood, see if your neighbor likes to throw crazy parties, right? Because you don't know that. See how it sounds at night, just see how it feels for you, because you're gonna be potentially living here. So that's a tip, lifestyle-wise. Get a route together, see if you can get what you want from that community. And if you can't, don't buy there. Don't try to force it, all right? And this lifestyle, right? The type of community. Plan some into your trip here if you're coming to visit, or if you're thinking about making a move and you're in Chicago, spend some weekends in these communities and get the vibe, get the feel, go out to dinner and stuff, have date nights. Those are some little tips. Community's huge, lifestyle's huge. Remember I told you to stick around for number 4? Well, here it is, something that a lot of people don't think about. Most realtors are not gonna shoot you straight, and the sellers are almost always gonna lie to you about. And you know what that is? It's water in our basements. That's right. We get water. It's notorious in this area for getting water in our basements. And I'm not talking about just some seepage, although that does happen, but I'm talking about feet of water sometimes from storm sewer backup. And I'm sitting here for a reason outside my own house, and I'll talk to you. So the biggest mistake is that people don't understand, and they work with realtors who aren't gonna shoot them straight about the water issues. I used to work for FEMA. I had to install my own flood control device. I know a ton about water. It's one of the biggest things that I look for is water in basements when we're touring homes. I look for evidence. I know where they can't usually get it to clean and stuff like that. So the thing is, I talk to my clients, it's not if you get water, but when you get water in a basement. So some mistakes I see people make outside of not paying attention to it or not even knowing about it is buying a house and then doing work in the basement, you know, before getting through a couple storms. I always tell my clients, you need to not do work. Don't finish a basement. Don't do a lot of work before you make sure that there's no rain and no water coming in. And then another mistake people make is also sort of on the opposite spectrum, and that is walking away from a house that might have had water issues that are evident, right? And so sellers can try to cover that stuff up, but you can almost always fix water problems. I'm here right now. You see this, my beautiful house that I love. I could have walked away if I thought there was water problems, but you know what? I installed a flood control device. Now that was not cheap, you know, you're talking over 10 grand, but I never have water in my house again. So there's usually things you can do to prevent water from coming in your house. So I say, don't walk away from a home because of water, but be aware that you're probably gonna get water if they don't have current flood control devices, which is not a sump pump, by the way. Reach out about that and I'll talk to you. Sump pumps don't help from the water problems that we have. If you're interested in what helps, give me a ring, shoot me a message or something like that. But so water in your basement is an issue. It's huge around here, and it's something that you need to be aware of, and something that I talk to my clients about at every single home that we tour. All right, so the 5th biggest mistake that I see people make when moving to the Chicago suburbs is not properly understanding the school systems. All right, if you're making that move and schools are important to you, maybe it's not, but a lot of people that I work with, almost everybody, schools are why they're making that move, right? If you're moving from Chicago to the suburbs, probably the schools. If you're moving from another part of the country for a job or something, maybe not, but schools are probably important. And if that's the case, our schools can be super confusing, and it's all based around an address, right? And why I'm here right now, for instance, this address here goes to one grade school, that house goes to another. All right, that's how confusing it can be and how address specific and property specific can be. So if schools are that important, you really need to do some research. I'll give you another example. Elmhurst has one school district for everything, grade school up until high school. Oak Park has a district for the grade schools and junior high, and then a different district for the high school. Brookfield has four different elementary school districts alone, with multiple actual elementary schools, and they have 2 different high school districts. So it's very confusing, it's address specific, so you can't just say, oh, for instance, Brookfield has good schools. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But the thing is, you need to do the research to make sure the house you're buying actually is in the school district that you want and goes to the particular school that you might want. So that's a mistake I see people make, is they just think that, you know, you move out to the suburbs and every suburb is the same. What I recommend Our school scores are all over the place for different communities. So what I recommend is you can go to niche.com, great schools, and that's a starting point. But if you really want to dig deep, you go to Illinois School Report Card, and you can find things like, you know, the number of teachers per student, the amount of money they spend per student, how many kids are on meal programs. There's a lot of detailed information there, how many teachers have masters, things like that. That is, if you really want to do deep research, what I'd recommend. But the mistake that I see people make is they just assume they're going to move to this community and that everyone goes to the same schools, and that's just not the case. You really have to do some research to make sure that the school you might want to be in is going to fit and that property is going to be going to that school, actually. So that's a mistake I see people make. All right, so the last and one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they buy the wrong house. That's right, they get the right community, they know a place that they're going to fall, that they get the right lifestyle, they have the right community vibe, but they buy the wrong house. All right, and I'm here to try to protect you from that as best I can. And part of that is having that first conversation. When I say the wrong house, there's a lot of meanings to that. The wrong house might be the wrong house for you. That's really what I mean. The wrong house for you and what you want out of your life, and the conversation we have at the beginning. That's why I'm going to ask you a lot of questions, probing questions, because I want to know what's important to you. Because when we're in a time where we have very little inventory, you're going to start straying from that. And that's what happens. People start straying from what they really value, and then they buy the wrong house. But it gets even deeper, right? I'm talking about the wrong house, like this house right behind me. I don't want to knock on particular houses, but if you called me to buy this house, I would tell you I don't want to sell it to you. You want to know why? For two big reasons. One, look at this location. You're right on the expressway. I don't care how great of a house that is inside, right? This is on for over $1.1 million. You are right on the expressway right there. Nobody is ever going to want to buy this again. Okay, nobody's going to want to. Nobody wants to buy it now. And partly is because of the location. Now, you can see that when you come here, but there's other little nuances, you know, whether it be water issues, which I talked about, or whether it be layouts, right? You know, another reason I mentioned this one, this is on for $1.15 million. Even if it was a block away from here on a beautiful block, this part of town doesn't really support 1.15 million houses. And a local agent's going to know that. So what I want for you and what I see people do is they settle and they don't buy the right house, whether that be for resale, which is something I'm always going to be looking out. I'll say to you, for instance, you buy a house with no garage. Right now, you love the inside, but when you go to resell that, we've had a highly appreciating market, and people are paying a lot of money for houses, over asking, and a lot of them multiple offers. And so when you go to resell that, if the market is a little softer, those little things like one-car garage or no garage or being on a busy street, they're going to come back. So I'm always going to bring those up to you. So that's the mistake that I see a lot of people make. They start settling and they start reaching for homes that isn't what they are looking for. So here's my motto. I would rather you buy no house than the wrong house, always. I wouldn't want you to buy this house, and I don't want you to buy a house that's not going to be a good fit for you long term. So if that's something that interests you, working with someone who's like that, shoot me a message, give me a call, whatever, and check out some of my other videos. Maybe you can find your place. I got videos about the pros and cons of Oak Park, pros and cons of LaGrange, pros and cons of Brookfield, different things going on in this area. If you're thinking about moving to the Chicago suburbs, give me and my team a call.